space that's creating a buzz like no else, with young India ready to take on the world. Today we're looking at all the excitement and headlines the world of startups are generating. Where else but in a co-working space where it's very possible that India's top entrepreneurs will emerge from eventually. First up, let's take a look at what's happening at the IITs. Why are 1,600 students from the IITs turning entrepreneur every year compared to just over 200 at the IIMs? They want to be job creators and not job seekers, they say. Simarpreet Sembi reports. They're one of India's premier institutions, and the IITs have produced some of India's biggest names. From top boardrooms to politics and government, writers and academics, and of course, tech gurus. The IIT stamp can be found everywhere. And the new horizon for the Indian Institutes of Technology seem to be startups.
Being an entrepreneur was always considered to be a risky. Slowly, I think that mindset is changing, and the peer group and the parents are allowing them to take risks.
Inspiring many students each year is the success of their seniors and peers. Rohit Bansal, who co-founded Snapdeal, Flipkart founders Sachin and Binny Bansal, and Dipender Goyal, the man behind Zomato, are some of those connected by the years at IIT. The list of IIT graduates setting up or working with startups is only growing. Among them, Akshay, a former Boston Consulting Group employee. He now runs Avanti, an initiative that provides affordable, quality education to children from low-income families, helping them crack competitive exams.
When you study so hard to get in somewhere, right, the IITs are very absurdly selective. So you tend to believe that you were meant for something bigger, right? This is I don't know if it's a delusion or you feel like you owe it to yourself and to the world that you do something really big and meaningful. Many IITians became entrepreneurs by the time they were in their mid-30s, right? So there used to be this period where we would all go work in the corporate sector, learn something, develop some competence, and then get frustrated with not doing something big enough and then go start something new.
IIT Mumbai graduates Rohit Shroff and Kovid Kapoor started off with corporate jobs, but soon left them behind after being bitten by the startup bug, even though it came with a new set of challenges.
The biggest challenge we face is getting the right kind of people to work with us, because a lot of people are still not very receptive to the idea of working in a startup environment, because we can't obviously afford to give a very good pay.
Team building hurdles apart, each year 1,600 IIT students are turning entrepreneurs, compared with 200 odd from the IIMs. And entrepreneurship not just for the money. These youngsters are aiming for something much bigger.
The goal for us is very straightforward, right? There's I would say about 10,000, maybe 7,000 good spots at the IITs that kids want. There's about roughly 7,000 tehsils in the country, right? And I think what we want to be able to achieve, and this would really end up being my life's work, is ensure that there's one kid going to IIT from every tehsil.
Clearly, India's top technical training campuses are now a hotspot for entrepreneurship.
According to a recent study, IITs are among the world's top entrepreneurial undergraduate universities, even ahead of Ivy League institutions such as Princeton, Yale and Cornell. A sign of how India's brightest minds are embracing entrepreneurship. With camera person Anup Satsangi, this is Simarpreet Kaur for NDTV.
So the IITs clearly nailing that one. Perhaps what aids them is their age, all in their mid-20s, even early 20s, some of course slightly younger. But if you thought that by the time you hit your late 30s, you're well past your prime to turn entrepreneur, think again. Ankita Sinha caught up with those who have 3 decades of corporate success behind them. Those who've tasted great professional and financial success, but in their 40s and 50s have decided to give it all up, to break the golden handcuff as they call it, and start out. He worked with Ernst & Young for 25 years, focusing on innovation, and that's what finally led him to alter the course of his career. A few years ago, Sunil Chandiramani noticed many of his peers leaving to try their hand at entrepreneurship, and after some thought, decided to take the plunge himself. Tremendous success at work, secure finances and a stable job, while being coveted by most of us, he says, are a golden handcuff. Not easy to give away, but essential to pursue your dreams.
Having a top-level job at an established firm may sound like the dream life. However, over a period of time, this often causes professionals to fall into a groove, because of which they're not faced with enough challenges that help them grow professionally. That's exactly the reason why Sunil Chandiramani decided to break away from the well-worn path and start up his own firm.
I was leading the Global Innovation Task Force for EY globally, where I met numerous different partners, and each one had gone out and done something different. And that really got me thinking for saying, what's holding me back from pursuing my dream? I no doubt enjoyed everything that I did, but I had this dream about going out, working closely with entrepreneurs, making a difference, actually taking them IPO, and earning my fortunes through equity share rather than through a salary. And at that stage of point in time, I decided, I said, it's time for me to move on. I've done everything that I could. I've grown it into one of the largest practices in India, within the firm itself. And I said, I can do more of this, or I can pursue my dream. So that was my tipping point. And I said, I got to go pursue the dream.
Sunil took the plunge and Nykaa Advisory Services was born. The company works with entrepreneurs, hand-holding them when it comes to strategizing their finances, calculating risks and getting their company on track. The move, of course, came with its own set of challenges, but this 46-year-old still feels it was worth it.
You've been in an organization that long, you're at the helm, everybody knows you, you've got a full infrastructure going through for you, you're earning a good amount of money, there's consistent cash flow, you don't ever have to think twice about that. And when you start thinking about the other side, clearly you think about the fact that, well, you're going to start from scratch zero. What's it going to cost you to doing it? Are you really going to make money in the first few years? Are you not going to make money? Will people join you? Will you get clients or not? And therefore there's a huge fear factor as well at the other end.
From one Sunil to another, Sunil Motilala is one of Asia's top-ranked counsels in taxation and transfer pricing, and has under his belt 14 years of independent practice, a 3-year stint at PwC and 3 years at KPMG. But this wasn't enough. He went on to set up law firm Advaita Legal before leaving it in 2 years to start SML Tax Chamber, clearly bitten by the startup bug.
Normally, when you leave a large organization, you either join a competing organization or you start an organization which competes with your earlier organization. Whereas in my case, my earlier organizations may in fact be my clients. I may be a service provider to them. So the reason is simple. Once you start an organization, you get again into the same rut. You have budgets, you have targets and things like that, and I wanted to avoid that really.
Evidently, there's no age bar to turning entrepreneur. And while some have done it in their 40s and even 50s, others are doing so after a decade of working for a big corporate. The IT boom took Bipin to top firms like Intel. After 7 years, he says he needed a new challenge and decided to branch out on his own.
I am an IIT graduate, passed out in 2002, and I worked as an engineer for most of my corporate career, starting my career at Intel. Then I worked at NVIDIA and Freescale Semiconductors as a chip designer before I decided that I need to venture out on my own, and that's how I started MobiKwik. I was just bored of my corporate job.
It's never too late to be an entrepreneur, so if you believe you have what it takes, this may be the best time to take the plunge. With Ankita Sinha and Abhishek Singh, Natasha Jog, NDTV. And one of the interesting concepts the whole startup space has thrown up is that of co-working. Varun, you were a co-founder of this co-working space that we are in. Now, to tell me something, how did you sort of think of it? I know it's an international concept, but not only is it sort of so successful here, but I mean, it seems to be spilling at the seams. How did it strike you? Were you sort of in the market looking for a space like this?
Well, not actually. The best ideas happen serendipitously. So this was one of those. We started off trying to create something like Y Combinator, and the goal was to bring in some investors from Europe. $1 million was committed to us, and with that money we were going to take a space which was actually a basement in Mohan Estate, and we paid the rent and everything was going hunky-dory, and suddenly we get a call and they say, we've done research on the incubation ecosystem in Europe, it's not working so well, so we're pulling out. So we've put the deposits, we've got a space, it's a bat cave, it's in the basement, it's not a really nice space, but it's a space, right? We say, now we're stuck with the space, what do we do? So, well, we fitted it out with chairs and tables, and we start to put it on rent. We have a co-working space, and within weeks and months, we have awesome people working with us and sharing the startup journey. So right. I guess things started from there.
And among those, of course, working with you, Rohit and Kushal, let me ask you. You guys, of course, have a super story. You guys found each other, discovered each other, stumbled upon each other right here in this co-working space. But before I get into that, I want to ask you, why are you an entrepreneur? Or why do you want to be an entrepreneur?
For me, it's sort of a very difficult question to answer right now, because I am still exploring it, what all could be done in this field, because I mean every day you hear stories and you feel like you could be one of them. So I mean that is the primary reason I am eager to try this out.
Kushal, is that your story as well? Have you done your homework to see if this is a good fit, or are you just sort of like trying it out?
Not actually. For me, I was not satisfied with my job. I just wanted to create something, do something different. Maybe I think it's more in your blood or something, that you want to do something. You want to go out on your own and do something.
Right. And how do you see sort of the risks involved? Does that ever sort of cross your mind?
Yeah, but I think the joy of doing it is more than this. Yeah.
And you guys discovered each other here. How did that happen?
Right.
And now you're partners.
Yeah. What happened is that I came over here in February, and actually I visited 1 month before in Jan, and I checked out this place. Before that I was in college, so I realized, I saw people working over here and I liked it very much. So in Feb I came over here and I started working on a project. So a lot of people mentored me over here, including Kushal. So before he became my partner, he was my mentor before. So for around like 2 months, he sort of like guided me how to go about the news app which we are working upon. And later on, he just came along.
Why not just join hands and right? So it's actually in a sense, Varun, it's not just co-working; it's also sort of co-creating something new, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So co-working could as simply just be infrastructure, but we said that's not good enough, right? So this is my 6th venture. What did I learn through all of these ventures was you need a lot more when you're starting a business. So there's the infrastructure piece of it, but that's just the starting, just like this little pinky. There's the services, there's networking, there's knowledge, there's capital. So you bring all of those things within our spaces so that a business can pick up whatever services it needs to a la carte grow themselves. And that's what really makes this space work. It's not just co-working, it's the community on top of it, and then the access to capital that we create further.
Right. So how does it sort of really work on a day-to-day basis? And how is it sort of, if I may ask you, influenced your own ventures, for instance?
So I joined here like last year, and before that I was working somewhere else. Coming here, I would like compare joining a college. It's like you can do a correspondence course or join a college. And when you join a college, you get to learn 10 different things. So when I joined here, apart from my work, I got to learn a lot of things. I got to learn how to raise funds. I got to meet people who can help me with email marketing. Now all these services I get in-house, and I come to know things which I never heard of.
How to play foosball.
Yes, I'm a pro at that. So it's a whole community thing that's coming along, and I have like grown multifold in the past 1 year. So it's been excellent.
Right, and the point, of course, that is being made over and over again these days, the startup space buzzing like it never has. And if we are to invest in this place, we are perhaps sitting on potentially something very, very big. Well, on that note, we're taking a quick break. Coming up after that, meet some Jack of Jugars and Chief Happiness Officers. Can't wait to find out more? Well, back right after this.